Hey everyone, I'm Chris, and I'm here to rank Game of Thrones Season 6, from worst to best. Season 6 is considered among the best seasons of the show. It's really where the show exploded in popularity and became the #1 show in the world practically. While it boasts the 2 highest rated episodes of the entire show, it also has some weak points that many consider to be terrible writing choices. When it first premiered, I remembered this season frustrated me, because I saw it as having the highest highs and the lowest lows of the series. Has my opinion changed? Let's find out. Game of Thrones Season 6, from worst to best. The first couple of episodes, I'm going to be talking a lot about them because they're pretty complicated. At number 10, we have The Broken Man, episode 7. So season 6 is odd because we actually start with later episodes of the season. The Broken Man is an odd one in that it is all set up for bigger things, but feels unfocused at times. Lots of bouncing back and forth, it's still entertaining, but just something about it feels not as big as other episodes. We get 2 standout moments though. The return of the Hound, we all theorized about it, and he finally came back! Wonderful reveal for the funniest character of the show. And then, we get introduced to an instant fan favorite, Lyanna Mormont. Crazy fandoms aside, this character really is fantastic. They found the perfect actress to play this fiery 10-year-old girl. She comes across as very real, even though her character shouldn't, and she's just a very welcome addition. Now, there are some negative things I have to say about this episode. Once we pass season 4 of Game of Thrones is really where the show just sometimes frustrates and confuses me. It feels like they make mistakes which were really never noticed until post season 4. Season 5 has some that I could forgive and even defend, but season 6 has some, particularly one moment in this episode that bothered a lot of people, and it's Arya's attack. It's surprising and cool, but doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In episode 6, we see her all sneaky, preparing for the Faceless Men to come after her. But next, she's out and about, not disguised. Then she gets attacked, which she should have been more prepared for, knowing that these people wear disguises. And then of course her wounds are too severe. She wouldn't be able to walk around much after that. It's not realistic, which is what Game of Thrones is supposed to be. Something they should have done is have her honestly get attacked, and she fails to defend herself initially, sustaining a single stab, or maybe she gets pushed off a staircase. Don't have our heroes make dumb decisions. Have them make smart decisions that still don't work because of unforeseen circumstances. Or at least have them make believable dumb decisions. Even with this bad scene, it doesn't ruin the episode, and season 6 is so well made that even the lowest episode still ranks as a green in my book. Number 9. Episode 8. No One. This episode leaves me very conflicted. It's known as one of the worst episodes of the series, and for a while I agreed. But rewatching it, the bad parts aren't quite as big as I remember, and there's a lot of good to go around here. I'm gonna go through my stand-up moments and other moments that I initially disliked. First, let's visit Jaime's siege of Riverrun, where we get a standout moment of Jaime and Edmure's scene. Fantastically acted. Many, like myself, at first disliked this scene because we thought Jaime was degrading to being Cersei's whipped dog and just being evil again. But he was actually putting on an act the whole time. He starts off kind, but when Edmure doesn't believe him, you see the shift in Jaime's tone when he decides he's just gonna have to put on this facade of being the evil Kingslayer everyone sees him to be. And that makes this scene so much better. But also a bonus thing that I have to point out, sure, Jaime loves Cersei still, which we all thought he would move on because she's practically pure evil, but look at it from his standpoint. They just lost their daughter, and Cersei was put through hell. She's very tame and sympathetic this season. I mean, she's not hateable in any scene that she's in. So ultimately, I can believe Jaime still loves Cersei. Now a big moment, Blackfish's death. I can agree it was a lame decision to have him stay behind and fight for no reason. Everything before that with him staying committed to defending his castle rather than leave to help Sansa, I can believe because he's a stubborn old man defending his family home. But this part here kind of feels like they just threw his character away, which is a shame. However, it does lead to a standout moment when Jaime finds out that he died. I know, I love how my opinion just is constantly flip-flopping in these moments, but what I love about this moment is the assumption that Blackfish survives and we'll see him fight and just be cool. I mean, he's been built up as a legend, and when the soldier tells him, Jaime assumes the same thing as us. But then we just hear, he died, fighting. And Jaime stops for a beat. It's so sudden and shocking. You feel empty. He wasn't a huge character, but it's sad to think he just died. And while it may suck and be kinda lame, it's realistic and brutal, which is what Game of Thrones has always been. Like, you can just feel the world changing with his death. Another legend gone. And my final standout moment, I just gotta give props to the hanging scene. The Hound spits out so many good lines this episode. You get out again. He's not. I just find this whole scene to be hilarious. And now the ending. It's not a standout moment. Ultimately, I can agree that the Arya storyline was just a messy one, and it just kinda ended fine, I guess. The chase was weird, but Arya defeating her using her blind training is actually really cool and clever. But then you got Jaqen being proud and saying she's finally no one? That just doesn't make sense. In the end, it's over, and Arya's now a badass who can kill the people she wanted to for years, so whatever. Yeah, this episode was complicated, and even though there was a good amount of dumb things, there's way more great moments that lead to me enjoying it more every time I watch it. Alright, now I'm gonna have less things to say because now it gets more good and consistent and less complicated. Number 8, The Red Woman, Episode 1. A kick-ass premiere for once. This premiere starts off so lit and carries weight behind nearly every scene. Sure, things do slow down towards the end, but there's just enough excitement and standout moments for me to rank it as a cyan. First, the entire discovery of Jon Snow's body is just so cool to me. It's just so creepy and sad seeing a lifeless Jon Snow, and everyone feels in danger now that he's gone. After that, we get some good guys winning when Brienne saves Sansa from the Bolton soldiers. Podrick helps out, even Theon gets a kill. Finally, we are getting satisfying moments. Then, the episode ends with the quickest boner killer ever in the reveal of old Melisandre. What the f***? Everyone gasps at this part, and it immediately adds depth to a very complicated character. A very enjoyable premiere. Number 7, Episode 4, Book of the Stranger. While some storylines slow down around here, others start picking up steam, and it's the stakes and the feeling of huge change coming soon that makes these episodes stand out more than a regular Green episode. Standout moments both belong to, you guessed it, the Jon Snow storyline. Man, do I love his storyline this season. First, oh my god, Jon and Sansa reunite, the first Stark reunion ever! Silver, baby! This is just one of the happiest the show has ever made me. Right when we thought we were gonna get cheated again, Season 6 throws us a bone. That hug was 6 years in the making. After that, we get a fun character scene with everyone stationed at Castle Black currently. Tormund is giving Brienne sexy looks, and Jon receives a super messed up letter from Ramsay. What makes this a standout moment to me is the setup for a true hero versus villain battle, which we rarely get on this show. We all know the two bastards are gonna square off, and Sansa and Jon's sibling relationship is at its strongest here when they both agree to go to war to save their brother and their home. War is coming. Number 6, Episode 6, Blood of My Blood. So this one surprised me. I, and many others, remember Season 6 slowing down in the second half, which is very unusual for a Game of Thrones season. I remember Episodes 6, 7, and 8 being the weak parts of Season 6. And while it was true for 7 and 8, this one surprised me. We don't get Jon this episode, which I remember disappointing me because I felt that this season was the Jon season, so why would we go a whole episode without seeing him? But watching the season quickly, you don't really notice. And this episode actually has a fair amount of big developments and standout moments. First, we are introduced to Sam's family and his father, Randall Tarley, otherwise known as Tywin 2.0. Like seriously, this guy is brutal towards Sam, and the actor did such a great job of immediately establishing this guy as a force to be reckoned with that I gotta give him props. But then, we get my man Sam standing up to his dad and taking Gilly and the baby with him. They really did a good job of convincing us he was leaving, but that wide shot there is the best because you suddenly wonder, wait, why are we sitting on this shot? Whoa, oh yay for Sam! After that, Arya makes the decision we've all waited for her to make. Leave the faceless man, thank God. I mean, the storyline wasn't the greatest in the first place, but we just miss Arya, and I just want to see her kill people and get revenge. Also, the very quick reveal that the waif has already witnessed it and seen Arya preparing all gun-ho for her upcoming battle is super hype. Finally, the standoff at the Sept of Baelor. I remember being disappointed by this moment originally because I was expecting a bloodbath, but instead there was a sudden twist and no fighting. But rewatching it, I actually kind of like that. I love the build-up and tense moments awaiting doom, and not everything needs to end with bloodshed. This is Game of Thrones. Politics and betrayals happen behind the scenes all the time. What I love is that even on my 5th or whatever rewatch of the season, I'm still discovering new things and my opinion is still changing. Number 5, Episode 3, Oathbreaker. Alright, so this episode is really remembered for one thing, and it's that Jon Snow is back, baby. This first standout moment is just amazing because Kit Harington does a fantastic job of being someone who is terrified that they literally died and are now alive somehow. It's scary. I did what I thought was right, and I got murdered for it. That summarized this entire show very well. Then we get a silver moment in the fight at the Tower of Joy. This is the best fight choreography of the show in my opinion. A truly fantastic fight scene with one dual sword guy squaring off against 4. The use of wide angles and long takes makes it much cleaner and easier to follow. And this shot right here of Ned and Arthur Dayne in a 1v1 is my favorite bit. Right after that, we get a sudden shock when Ned hears Bran from the past. What? Bran's storyline really stepped up this season and become one of my favorites because of moments like this, where the show blows our minds and the possibilities that magic entails. I also love this reaction shot of the Three-Eyed Raven, like he knew this would happen and he knows what tragedy this will inevitably lead to. Finally, we end the episode on another silver moment. Jon executes the traitors. There's so much that I love about this sequence. Every traitor has a different reaction, actually representing the 5 stages of grief. Denial, bargaining, acceptance, rage, and I guess Jon represents depression. Alistair Thorne is such a hateable character, but at times he earned my respect and he goes out like a true knight. No curses or tears, just pride that he never gave up on his ideals, even when they were wrong. But then, he says one of my favorite quotes of the show, "But you, Lord Snow, you'll be fighting their battles forever. It's such a haunting line. The idea that Jon can't even stay dead. He's been fighting the whole show, and it seems like he's just destined to always be the martyr, the hero who must sacrifice everything. Then the hanging sequence is boss, with the music being a mix of the Stark and Targaryen theme, creating a gloomy atmosphere, and Jon forcing himself to watch what he's done, and then Jon dropping the mic and leaving the Night's Watch. Just God, I love Jon's journey this season. Number 4, Episode 5, The Door. So this episode would not be a blue if it weren't for the last sequence. A lot of people absolutely adore this episode, and I'm not really sure why. I know it sounds weird that I'm complaining about an episode that I have ranked as a blue, but I honestly saw it as a green for the most part. Sure, we get some pretty cool scenes in the first 2/3, but I felt like something was a little off. Like things were stalling or taking a bit to unfold. But okay, what completely turns it around is the final sequence. Like, come on. Silver moment is the attack on the Weirwood tree. It's tough because it's a great sequence with a lot of smaller moments mixed in, and it's long, but I'll just kind of summarize it as the whole attack in general. When the White Walkers show up, you know it's about to go down, and we lose a lot of characters here. Summer, the Three-Eyed Raven, Leaf, dang, the whole party just quickly gets killed off, and it's scary and thrilling. But then we reach the end. Possibly the saddest moment of the entire show, Hold the Door. This was never a gold moment for me before, but upon rewatch, I feel it's earned it. It is an amazing twist that you never realized was ever even needed. Hodor was always a pretty minor character that I'm sure many, along with myself, didn't even know his name until like season 3. He was just the big guy who carries Bran around. Once Bran was warging into him and killing people is when I started liking the character. But by the time we found out he could talk in the past, I actually loved him. He's such an adorable, friendly oaf. He's a human Pokemon, like he just speaks his name. And then the reveal that the reason he only says Hodor is because Bran warged into him from the past, fusing his past mind to the future self, causing a whole mind-melting seizure of him experiencing his own death is heartbreaking. It takes you a bit to really understand what the hell is going on here, but realizing that Hold the Door was his sole life purpose, and that he was always destined to be this way because of Bran's time-traveling abilities, makes you realize how horrifying time travel can be and how tragic the story of Hodor is. The second I heard Miura say, "Hold the door," my mind paused for a moment, like, wait, what? Like everyone hears those words and it sounds odd, like it has meaning to it. And then you hear it in the past. I always get emotional when Willis collapses and chants, "Hold the door," while Bran watches, just heartbroken. This moment has so much impact for a minor character and comes as a complete surprise of the season. I remember when season 6's episodes titles were announced, me and my friends made fun of episode 5's title, The Door. We were like, really? That's the title? That is so boring and generic, The Door. But after the episode ended, I can think of no better title. The Door ended up being one of the most impactful moments of the whole show. If it was Hold the Door, it would spoil the whole thing. But The Door, the thing that Hodor held, sacrificing himself for Bran, having always known he was meant to do that, cursed to a life of a broken mind, will always stick with me. I'm not sure why it took me so long to recognize the impact of this moment, but even on the 5th or 6th rewatch of this season, Game of Thrones still finds ways to surprise me. Number 3, Episode 2, Home. Season 6 starts off lit with this super eventful episode 2. I mean, we waste no time getting into the meat of this season, and nearly every storyline is beginning with huge developments. Right away, we get a fantastic scene in the Winterfell flashback. From the return of Bran with a good haircut now, Max von Sydow's Three-Eyed Raven, young Ned, introduction of Lyanna Stark, ring your head like a bell callback, and of course, reveal of Willis who could speak. This scene gave us a lot to think of and be happy about. After that, the Wildlings take Castle Black, another triumph this season for the good guys. I love 1-1 smashing this guy and everyone just giving up right away after witnessing it. Next, the Mountain smashes a guy's head. We all want to see more of this character now. Next, Tyrion frees the dragons. Once again, it's all the subtleties of the scene that makes it so great to me. Already it's amazing seeing Tyrion interact with dragons, but for the first time, we see dragons being given more of a personality beyond basic killing machines. First we got, "It could be little, like me." Aww. Then you got the other dragon recognizing that Tyrion's freeing them. Punch me in the face. So much to love about this scene. Next, a twofer, Ramsay kills his father. Oh boy, this pushed Ramsay beyond just a despicable villain. Now he's a lord and ruler of the North. I also love how for a moment, you weren't quite sure which Bolton stabbed the other. And then, Ramsay kills his mother and brother. This season just pushed Ramsay to the most evil he could possibly be, and murdering a mother and baby is just only part of the list of his horrific deeds. After that, we get the introduction of Euron and him killing Balon. Euron's a tricky character. Some scenes, he's really cool. Others, he kinda is lame. But I'll always remember how they nailed his introduction. And And finally, we end this episode with a gold moment. Jon Snow's resurrection. After a year of waiting and anticipation and theorizing and praying for our hero to come back, we all jumped with joy when Jon Snow gasped back to life. For the first time ever, a character, and by extension we, were given a second chance. If you had given up after season 5 because there was no hope, season 6 was here to give you some. I gotta give props to the whole production for hiding the fact that Jon Snow comes back. He becomes the most integral part of the season, and yet everywhere, pictures, trailers, even the Blu-ray box made sure to not show him. You know you're watching a great season when the most important aspect of it is kept a secret. And then a bonus thing, I always love how this episode immediately cuts to credits. Every episode usually fades away or has a sudden cut to black, but this one just slams right into credits and blasts loud epic music as a way to say, "F you, he's back." What a crazy, eventful episode. Now, it's no secret that these final 2 episodes are amazing. They have the highest ratings on IMDb and are widely considered to be the best episodes of the entire series. They are both so good that it's really difficult to decide which one I prefer. So let's just go for it. Number 2, Episode 10. The Winds of Winter. This is the finale of finales. Not since the season 4 finale has a single episode changed everything. Winds of Winter is near perfection in everything that it does. From the sweeping musical scores, brilliant acting, gorgeous cinematography, huge twists, massive payoff, and emotional triumphs lead to one of the greatest episodes not only of Game of Thrones, but of anything I've ever seen. Since practically every scene is a standout moment, let's go through the whole episode piece by piece and break down why it's so amazing. From the very first scene where you're introduced to the most popular musical composition of the series, Light of the Seven. Even if you don't realize it, this is the first time we have ever heard piano in Game of Thrones. It signals that change is coming. Huge moments are about to unfold in this huge episode, and this entire build-up just has me so captivated, which of course leads into the Green Trial. Yep, we've already reached a gold moment in the first 10 minutes. This is another Red Wedding sequence where many major characters die. The entire scene feels like it's from The Godfather. Multiple converging stories slowly building up to an inevitable explosion. The music really sells this whole thing, from the piano to the organ to the shredding violins. I love how there's so many characters that you actually don't like and you're pretty happy to see die, but then you have Marjorie. No one wants to see her go. We love her because of how brilliant she is at the game. She's the only one to figure out Cersei's plan, and yet she isn't exactly defeated. She's just held down by the High Sparrow and dragged into a glorious wildfire explosion. We already had one medieval nuke in the series, so we never imagined we'd get another one, especially one that kills off half the cast. This whole sequence is just so brilliant and starts off the episode on an insane high note. After that, a small scene where Cersei gets sweet, sweet revenge on Septa Unella. It feels good to hear Cersei speak the truth for once and admit all the horrible things she's done. Next, Tommen commits suicide. This is a silver moment because it is one of the most heartbreaking, shocking moments I've ever seen. This poor boy was manipulated by everyone. He never made a decision for himself until he chose to end his own life. No words, no cutting away. We just sit here wondering why the shot hasn't changed. And then he steps up and just falls, giving a true meaning to King's Landing. And then the cherry on top being Walder Frey's words, "For House Lannister." Speaking of which, we get a nice simple chat between Jaime and Walder Frey, where we really see how much Jaime has changed and how good he truly is now, or at least wishes he was. Then we lead to Sam's arrival at the Citadel. It's mostly the beautiful music that plays when he first steps into that library that gets me, and the Easter egg of seeing the spinning thing from the opening credits. Now, time for another silver moment when Davos demands justice. Jesus, his acting is brilliant in this scene. I can't get enough of this because of the questions it brings up and the utterly depressing truths of everything. If your god commands you to burn children, your lord is evil. Great point, Davos. Melisandre tries to fight back, saying she believed it was the only way to win, but Davos says the harsh truth, which basically summarizes the whole show. They all died anyway. It's scenes like this that remind us all the turmoil we've been put through throughout the show, and how the people still alive this episode got some mad PTSD from these moments. Next, we finally hear the words we've waited 6 years for. Winter is here. Jon's smile in response is a perfect reaction. And then we get Tyrion being named Hand of the Queen. Finally, someone appreciates Tyrion. I always get emotional right here. And then silver moment, Arya assassinates Walder Frey. Whoa, surprise Arya, hello. This is the Arya we've waited to see. Sweet, sweet revenge. And now all the perpetrators of the Red Wedding died reflecting their victims. Roose a knife to the heart, Tywin a crossbow bolt, and Walder Frey gets his throat sliced. Yes. And then, for the first time ever, we get a second gold moment in the same episode. R+L=J confirmed. This is a moment people have been waiting for since 1996. 20 years, book readers have been theorizing who Jon Snow's mother was. The answer could lead to the biggest revelation of the series, and it was never confirmed in the books that were released, but years of hints and theories finally ended when it was f***ing confirmed with this single cut. This cut is one of the most powerful uses of a cut I've ever witnessed. An editing cut means we're being shown new information. It's so simple. By far the most widely used transition in film. It's everywhere. And here it is to show this massive revelation. There aren't any words spoken, just visual storytelling at its best. This cut from a baby to Jon Snow means so much. It means Jon Snow was never the son of Ned Stark. We've been lied to this whole time. It means Jon Snow is in fact the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. He is the heir to the Iron Throne. If you thought Jon Snow was important before, this moment made it very clear that Jon Snow is the key to the entire story of Game of Thrones. And then in the very next scene, we got a silver moment when he is crowned king in the North. If this doesn't hype you up, I don't know what will. Like Tyrion, we've always wanted to see Jon Snow be appreciated, but none of us expected it to be like this. Season 5 is a Jon Snow season, and so is Season 6. He went from dead to abandoning the Night's Watch, to commander of the Stark forces, to the king in the North, and heir to the Iron Throne. Holy shit. But this is only the first crowning, for now we get another silver moment when we witness Cersei Lannister claim the Iron Throne. Whoa. I love the dark atmosphere of this whole scene. No one is happy she's queen, even Jaime doesn't feel good. All these scenes leave you with the feeling of epic scale completion, like the whole series has been building to these moments, and none of them are more satisfying than ending on the moment we all waited for. Daenerys sails to Westeros. She has the Tyrells, the Martells, the Greyjoys, Dothraki, Unsullied, Varys, and Tyrion by her side. And of course, 3 fully grown dragons ready to kick some ass. The perfect ending to a near perfect finale of Game of Thrones. And oh my god, you already know what it is. My number 1 favorite episode of Game of Thrones is Episode 9, Battle of the Bastards. When this episode first aired, I got on Skype and told my friend that was my favorite episode of the show. And it still holds true 3 years later. Battle of the Bastards is everything I wanted it to be. To this day, it is the best battle I have seen on film. But even beyond the battle, we still get amazing moments of payoff that we've waited the whole series for. The focus on just 2 storylines simplifies the episode and brings more dramatic weight to everything. Once again, let's go through every scene since all of it has standout moments. Right away, we get a silver moment when Daenerys unleashes her dragons. Yes! Finally, the Dragon Queen goes off! I love the music cue when Drogon first lands next to Daenerys. I also love how within the first 5 minutes, we get this insane moment that a couple years ago would have been the climax of the whole season. But here it is, only the appetizer for what's to come. But before we get to Winterfell, I gotta give a shout out to my man Grey Worm, pranking those masters with the smoothest swipe left this side of the narrow sea. What a boss. Okay, now we get to Jon Snow. This is his episode. He is our true hero facing off against our true villain. This meeting is a perfect hype builder with sick comebacks. He's good. Very good. I've always loved that line. Next, we're reminded of how little faith Jon has in this entire thing when he tells Melisandre to not bring him back. Now, there is one complaint I have of the season, and that is how little they mention how Jon died and came back to life. But then this scene comes along and really brings attention to it. They just don't give you any hope at all. Maybe Jon was brought back just to die again. And damn, do we feel it could be so. You really feel for Jon here. Those last words from Alistair Thorne ring true, and you can see the pain in his eyes of not having control over his own destiny. And now the big event. We begin the battle with a silver moment, a game, Rickon's Run. First, I'm gonna eliminate the common complaint of Rickon not zigzagging. He's a scared PTSD-ridden boy that's like 12 years old, running to his brother, the last family he has left that he knows of. When I first watched this, I didn't think, zigzag you idiot. I was too caught up in the moment. Sometimes lack of logic can ruin an otherwise powerful scene, but it doesn't here. My heart pounds every time I watch this scene. Cinefix did a brilliant analysis of the filmmaking of this scene and why it is so well done. But the thing that gets to me is Jon was so close to him. I just want to see the Starks together and happy. But even 6 seasons in, we're treated to another Stark death. And then we witness a golden moment when Jon Snow faces the cavalry. This is my favorite shot of the entire show. One of the most famous images ever. There is 0 CGI. That is literally over 40 real-life horses charging at Kit Harington. This moment isn't very big in the grand scale of things. Jon lives anyway. But the power behind this stunning moment all lies with the fact that we are with Jon. He is all alone in the middle of the battlefield. He knows he screwed up. He let his emotions get the better of him, and he was led into a trap. When he sees those horses charging, he realizes he was brought back just to die again. There is no hidden meaning behind his existence. But despite that, he resigns himself to face down his doom, throwing his sheath away, knowing full well he will never need it again because this is it, and we are right with him. We all believed Jon was about to die again, and it's a testament to this show that it is able to play with our emotions so much for so long. 6 seasons in, the same season that our hero was brought back from the dead, we honestly believe he's about to die again. That is why this episode is so impactful to me, because of moments like this, I really do believe believe that the heroes will lose again. But of course, Jon lives, and we immediately enter another silver moment in the Fog of War one-shot. Every battle tries to have a one-shot. This is the best one by far. An entire minute following our hero in the insanity of medieval warfare. This truly is an achievement in choreography, cinematography, timing, sound editing, CGI, everything. No other moment really puts you in the mind of a soldier than here. Jon is just a small piece of this huge battle. All he can do amongst the chaos and mayhem is run around and kill Bolton men. Several times he nearly dies, but either other forces or blind luck saves him. I could watch this shot all day. There's just so much going on, and it's just so fucking awesome. Then, after a good amount of battling, we pause when everyone is surrounded. I love how the music stops here and everyone's just silent. Jon is breathing heavily, and our heart is pounding, just waiting to see what's about to happen. And I especially love the gorgeous shots of the light reflecting off of the shields. And to put us even further into Zero Hope territory, Jon Snow nearly suffocates in this surprise silver moment that was never even supposed to be in the episode. Miguel Sapochnik, the boss director that he is, came up with the idea in place of another more expensive and time-consuming scene. Thank God that he did, because sometimes simpleness reigns supreme. And also, this is something you don't think about in battles. When there are so many bodies that there's literally mountains of them, and thousands of men are fleeing for their lives, you can get crushed amongst them. The quick, frantic close-up shots make you feel so claustrophobic, you feel like you're suffocating with them. I mean, a second time in this episode, we believe Jon is about to die. Jesus Christ! This scene leaves everyone pretty terrified. But then the glorious shot of him reborn, choosing to live as we zoom out, showing him amongst a sea of men. This episode really doesn't let up with its legendary shots and moments. Speaking of big moments, the veil saves the day. This silver moment is one of the most triumphant moments, once again, of the entire series. This episode's just such a roller coaster of emotion, a popcorn episode of popcorn episodes. I just cannot stop praising it. We all knew the veil would arrive, but at this point, we get just kind of forgotten. But this moment finally shows the good guys just winning for once. And another glorious shot, just watching those horses charge through the shields is so satisfying. I also gotta give a shout out to Tormund f***ing up some old John Umber. Always love that shot right there just before the veil smashes through. And then, immediately, another silver moment. One that not many talk about. Jon stares down Ramsay. First of all, this Avenger shot is badass, but it's the moment Ramsay sees Jon and realizes his destiny, and those sweet violins kick in, makes this a silver moment for me. I get goosebumps every time I watch this. This is a Jon Snow we've never seen, covered in blood and grime and shit. His eyes full of purpose. He only has one mission: to kill Ramsay Bolton. And then Sansa sees him and his homies rushing after him. Like, imagine seeing that your brother actually survived that insane battle, and more so, he ain't done. Okay, now we're nearing the end finally. First, 1-1 sacrifice. One giant held the door, another broke through it. I never would have imagined watching the pilot episode that someday, in this very same courtyard, that a giant coated in arrows would have broken through, leading an army through while shouting as he dies. Then, the moment we all waited for. Jon Snow versus Ramsay Bolton. This moment's a gold for me too. That's right, another episode with 2 golden moments. I had always pictured a stunning duel between them in the midst of a battle, but this scene is more true to their characters and highlights their personalities perfectly. Jon, battle-torn and beyond up, facing down clean, cowardly Ramsay. Ramsay was always a good archer, so of course he's picked a ranged weapon, but Jon doesn't even need a sword, just a Mormont shield to block those arrows. I love his men slowly putting down their arrows, realizing, oh, no, he's got this, oh damn. And then, Jon Snow beats the fucking out of Ramsay. There have been many satisfying moments of this series, but this is without a doubt the most satisfying one yet. Just our hero beating the ever-loving hell out of the despicable villain. And then we got the symbolic victory of watching the Stark flag finally fly over Winterfell once again. End the episode with a silver moment, Ramsay's death. The most perfectly poetic death we could have asked for. My favorite parts being Sansa's smile and that terrifying shot of the dog actually biting his face just for a fraction of a second. Like, holy shit. That's scary. And that concludes the best episode of the entire series for me so far. I'm exhausted. What's our stats? Well, we only had 2 greens, being in the second half, that's kind of weird. Then 4 cyans, almost entirely the first half. 2 blues to spice things up big time, and then ending on the 2 purplest of purples. This brings season 6 to a grand total of 6.0. Holy shit. Fun fact, I could do a top 20 and we'd still wouldn't finish mentioning all the silver moments. But for now, here's my top 10 moments of the season. Number 10, Jon and Sansa reunite, the Stark reunion we always were waiting for. Thank God we finally got it. Number 9, Jon executes the traitors, a haunting, powerful scene. Number 8, Fog of War one shot, the quintessential battle moment ever. Number 7, Tommen commits suicide, a huge shock that I never expected. Number 6, Jon Snow's resurrection. Years and years of theorizing finally came to an end when he came back to to life. Number 5, Hold the Door, the most emotional scene of the whole series. Number 4, The Green Trial, a green version of the Red Wedding, basically just a brilliantly constructed scene. Number 3, R plus L equals J confirmed. Another 20 years of theorizing and whatnot finally confirmed in the most powerful single cut I have ever witnessed on film. Number 2, Jon Snow versus Ramsay, the most satisfying moment of the whole series and the battle we were always waiting for. And then number 1, Jon Snow faces the cavalry, my favorite shot of the entire series. Super powerful emotional moment. Just, oh my god, this season doesn't stop. So once again, you always know if something's gonna be this color because I just make it obvious. When I love something this much, I just can't shut up about it. So of course, I'm giving this season a purple. It has the 2 best episodes of the entire series. It has 6 golden moments. It has my favorite battle. Sure, season 6 does bother me at times with the writing choices, but the overwhelming positives completely crush those tiny negatives. Season 6 is just amazing. Next week, we'll tackle the controversial season 7. Links to my documents detailing everything is in the description, and share your rankings too. Thank you for watching and subscribe for more rankings. See ya.